For the longest time, we've had this idea that intelligence has to be fast and loud and super confident. But what if the most brilliant minds actually operate in silence? We're about to dive into the 8 signs of something called silent intelligence, this quiet power that processes reality on a much, much deeper level. And hey, if you recognize even a few of these in yourself, you might be seriously surprised by your own intellectual depth. So let's just stop for a second and ask, what does intelligence actually sound like? Is it really the person with the quickest answer, the loudest voice in the room, or is that just a performance? We've kind of been trained to think speed equals brilliance, but real, deep intelligence, well, it often operates on a much quieter, more deliberate frequency. And this is really where the myth and the reality just clash. The myth says intelligence is a big show, it's fast, it's always certain, and it's looking for applause. But the reality? The reality is that deep thinking is a process. It's paused and deliberate. It's totally comfortable with maybe. And it values getting to the truth, to clarity, way more than getting credit. It's a huge shift from an external show to a really powerful internal operating system. So what is this thing we're calling silent intelligence? Well, think of it as the invisible processing of reality that's always happening just beneath a calm surface. It's a really high form of thinking that values deep understanding way, way more than just shallow performance. It's not about hiding how smart you are. It's that this kind of intelligence just doesn't need a constant stream of likes and validation to do its work. Okay, first up, let's dive into the inner world. We're going to look at the internal habits that really form the foundation of this quiet power, all that deep processing that happens when nobody else is even watching. All right, sign number 1. It's what I call the power of the pause. You've seen it. When everyone else is rushing to speak, the silently intelligent person, they wait. And listen, this isn't shyness or being slow. No way. It's an active process. It's mental editing. They are literally filtering, organizing, and refining their thoughts before they ever even become words. And this process is incredibly deliberate. Imagine this. A trigger happens. Maybe someone says something challenging. Instead of just reacting, their mind observes that initial emotion as pure data. Then it analyzes it internally, and only then, after all that, do they speak. And the result? The words are precise. They're impactful, because they've been weighed and measured. Now, there's a technical name for this skill in psychology. It's called cognitive inhibition. It's the ability to hit the brakes on that emotional knee-jerk reaction just long enough to actually analyze what's really happening. This isn't just about self-control. It's about strategy. It's like your mind is playing chess, thinking about consequences and motives 10 moves ahead of everyone else. On to sign number 2. This one is a huge shift away from certainty. See, the average mind wants a simple yes or no, black or white. But the advanced mind, it thinks in probabilities. They don't just say, this will work. They're more likely to say, okay, this has about a 60% chance of success, and here are the risks we need to watch out for. It's just a much more nuanced and, frankly, realistic way of seeing the world. You see, for so many people, that craving for a definite answer is incredibly high. It's comforting. But for advanced minds, there's a real comfort with maybe. And what looks like indecisiveness or caution to other people is actually a sign that they're processing multiple layers of cause and effect that most people just completely miss. All right, sign number 3. This one is huge. You are a natural-born pattern hunter. Your brain is constantly, almost unconsciously, looking for connections that other people just don't see. You're linking dots between conversations, behaviors, and data, and you're building this incredibly detailed map of reality in your head. This isn't some kind of magic trick. It's just a heightened sensitivity to data. It means you're connecting ideas that seem totally random to others. You'll notice a tiny shift in someone's tone of voice, and you can connect it to a future action. You're not just seeing isolated events. You're seeing the entire system at play. And all of this constant processing, well, it leads us right into sign number 4. When your mind is constantly taking in and sorting so much data, solitude isn't about being lonely. It's a flat-out necessity. It's the space you absolutely need to organize all that information you've absorbed and to cultivate those incredible insights that seem to just appear out of nowhere. This quote just nails it. In psychology, they might call this high self-integration. Basically, a state where your sense of who you are isn't dependent on all the noise outside. You don't get lonely when you're alone, you feel centered. For you, one deep, meaningful conversation is worth more than 10 hours of pointless small talk. Okay, so that's the inner world.
But how does all this stuff actually show up on the outside? Let's take a look at how silent intelligence really shapes the way you interact and communicate with the rest of the world. Sign number 5 is something people often get totally backwards. You simplify to clarify. So many people think intelligence sounds complicated, that it uses all these big, fancy words. But the exact opposite is true. Real intelligence isn't about showing off your vocabulary. It's about being able to break down a really complex idea so that anyone can get it. It's such a powerful idea. And get this, there's a famous Princeton study that found that when people use unnecessarily complex language, it actually makes others perceive them as less intelligent. Clarity is a signal of deep understanding, while a lot of jargon and confusion, well, that's often just a disguise. The goal isn't to prove how much you know, but to share it effectively. Now, sign number 6. This one tells you a lot about a person. It's all about how you handle disagreement. Most people, let's be honest, they argue to win. They argue to defend their ego. But the silently intelligent mind, it argues to understand. A disagreement isn't a battle to be won. It's an opportunity to gather more data. And this really gets to the heart of the difference. On one side, you have what psychologists call motivated reasoning, which is basically just twisting the facts to fit what you already believe. It's ego-driven. But on the other side, you have critical thinking. The goal here is to map the truth, which is why people who think this way have absolutely no problem asking why, or even better, admitting, you know what, I don't know. The 7th sign, this is a quiet superpower in our incredibly noisy world. Your validation comes from within. In a culture that is obsessed with likes and shares and external praise, you operate from a place of genuine, intrinsic self-worth. Your confidence is built on your own awareness and your own integrity, not on someone else's applause. Think of it like this. Sure, external praise is nice. Who doesn't like a compliment? But the vast majority of your self-worth, that's coming from inside. You don't need other people to validate you to know your own value. And this creates a level of emotional freedom that, honestly, most people who are tied to the opinions of others will just never get to experience. And our final sign, number 8, and maybe the most advanced one of all, is the practice of selective blindness. This is the mature, disciplined skill of seeing the truth. You see the hidden motives, the little inconsistencies, but you choose not to weaponize it. You see it all, but you let it go to protect your own inner peace. Now, to be really clear, this is not avoidance. It's a discipline. It means you see the truth, but you know you don't always have to announce it. You've learned the hard way that being right can be a really lonely victory. So you choose to protect your peace, to protect your energy, which lets you feel lighter instead of being constantly weighed down by everything you perceive. And that really brings us to the core idea here. Silent intelligence is like a powerful underwater current. On the surface, everything might look totally still and calm, but beneath that surface, a massive, unstoppable force is at work. You don't have to make waves to be the most powerful force in the ocean. So this brings us to the final thought. If you recognize yourself in these signs, if any of this resonated with you, it is time to stop downplaying your quiet power. The question was never, how smart are you? The question that really truly matters is, how well are you using the incredible mind you already have?